If you are a beginner wanting to learn how to build model-driven Power Apps, then this tutorial is for you. You would build a model-driven Power App when you need a new place to store data for a business application. Perhaps you've got a mission-critical spreadsheet that's really not serving you well, a SharePoint list that you've outgrown, could still be on a paper-based process, or even a legacy database application that is too expensive or too hard to customize. Then this is where you want to be. Model-driven apps allows you to very easily build out your data model using a drag and drop experience and then put all of the user interface items over the top of that. And I'm going to show you from beginning to end how that's done. Let's take a look at what we're going to be building in this tutorial. We have here an application which is designed for my fictional Keymaster Academy. It's going to help us manage our list of instructors and the courses that we offer. So we've got a list of our instructors here with all of their details, as well as the courses that they teach, and a process that enables people to put in a new course and go through an approval before it gets added to the curriculum. Now, obviously we can go much further with this, adding students and the enrollments and so on, but for now we're just going to get started with these first two data tables so that you understand how all of the pieces come together here. We start here in make.powerapps.com. And what we get with Dataverse is a bunch of tables that come out of the box ready for you to use for some of the most common things. So as soon as you're working with any kind of people or organizations, customers of any kind, make sure you work with the tables that are out of the box here before you start creating your own. And it's worth getting familiar with these. So there's a table here already for account, and there's one here for contact, which we're actually going to use to store that information about our instructors or teachers at the academy here. Just to navigate you around these pieces, because we're going to be using this a lot, once we have a data table, there are certain pieces we can build. We have the columns or fields, which give us the information that we want to store about that data table. So for instance, for a person, we've got multiple address fields or columns in here, all sorts of other information that's going on, and we can actually configure this on top of what's out of the box here to use the parts that we need and to add additional things. So for instance here, where we're working with teachers, we want some things specific to our use case, but this is still a very rich table out of the box that we're going to start with. As we navigate around, you can always go back up the breadcrumb trail, so we'll see that consistency there. We've also got relationships in here. So this is where we're working here with a proper relational database where tables can be related to each other. Straight away out of the box, we have a system here where the contact is already related to a number of things in the system. And in particular, even though this looks like a lot of information, you will see in here that we've got a bunch of things that are around notes and activities and appointments and phone calls, because we can track all of that activity. And again, with model-driven apps with Microsoft, all of that is built for you out of the box, natively connected to Outlook for all of those things. And we're going to build our own relationships as we go through this tutorial, where one instructor can have many courses, and then you can start to build out rich data models across hundreds of tables if that's what you want to do. The data experiences here are what sits across the top of things. So we've got forms. Forms are the part where as you open up a particular record, if we look at a particular instructor, we see all of their details on the screen. Views allow us to give a list of what's going on so that we can see and sort and filter by the different columns in the system. And we can also build out charts, dashboards, business rules. Check out my full tutorial once you finish this if you want to go further into that. So let's build our model-driven app here. And the first thing we want to do is go over into this section called Solutions and create a solution. A solution is just at the start, it's going to be an empty bucket. And we're going to build all of our different assets, our tables, columns, forms, the application itself inside here. And that allows us to take that forward through an application lifecycle management strategy. We can start here developing it, we can move it across to test it somewhere else, and then put it in production for users. And so it just is the right place. Always start with a solution so that you've got all those assets together and you can see what you're doing as well. So we start here with a new solution. We are going to call this one Keymaster Academy, our fictional organization here, and then the publisher is like your digital signature on top of that. So you can select a publisher here. When you're doing this for the first time, you'll want to create one either in your name or the name of your organization, depending how you're working. We have the display name. The schema name here is just going to be something that has no spaces in it. And then I can also put a prefix in front of everything so that as I start to build out all of the different assets in here, I can see that these were mine and these are the pieces that are coming together. So we can see a preview of what's going on there. That's as technical as it's going to get, by the way. Once you've got all of that set up, you're good to go. So now I'm going to select the publisher that I just created. I won't need to do that again in future. Create. And now I've got my empty bucket ready to work in. To navigate you around here, you'll see as we go through, we've got apps, chatbots, Cloudflow's table, all sitting at 0 at the moment because we haven't started doing anything yet. So let's do this. We're going to work with 2 tables in this application. We'll use that contact table we just saw earlier to manage the list of instructors or teachers at the Academy. And we're going to create a table to list the courses that are offered. So let's go ahead and create that first new table for the courses. To do that, we come in here, we select New, Table, and that first option there. Give your table a name, so you'll notice that you just type in a singular name here and it will already give you the plural name. There are a bunch of other options here in advanced options. Given this is a beginner tutorial, I'm not going to go there, but once you get past beginner, things like setting up, auditing and search and all of those kinds of things can be found in that option. But for now, let's keep it nice and simple and we're just going to click Save. So now back to our navigation that we saw earlier here. If I go into columns, you will see that we've got a heap of stuff. You didn't see me create all of that, did you? Don't freak out. What's going on here is this is making it really easy for you to manage all of the things that are going on. So you'll see we've got things like created by, created on, modified by, owner. So all of the things in Dataverse that enable you to manage ownership, security, who can see what and so on in the database is just it's just like a scaffolding that's set up here for you. You don't need to go ahead and do any of that. Also, things like primary keys and unique identifiers and all those things are set up for you. So all you need to do now is create the pieces that you want for your particular business use case. You don't need to worry about the rest of that stuff. So to do that, we go in here and say New Column. And for each column or field that we're adding in here, we choose what type of data it is and we give it a name. So let me just take you through some of the different data types that it can handle. We can have text, which is just like a string of text. You just type in anything you want. We can handle different types of numbers in here, dates, including date only or date and time. Lookups is where we're going to manage relationships with other tables. We will come back to that. Choices, where we can have a drop-down list of options or yes/no options, and then a bunch of other things here if you want to go deeper into handling things like currencies, files, formula calculated fields, and so on there as well. So let's create our first field here, and this is going to be the course reference number. This is going to be just a single line of text. It might be, ABC-123, and we'll click Save. Now we've already got, when the table is created, a primary name column. I'm going to use that for the course name. That's already set up and ready to go, so I don't need to create that. So I've got my course number, my course name. We might also want a description of what's going on with the course. So let's put that one in as a description. And this time, instead of a single line of text, what I'm going to do is create a rich text option, which allows me to put formatting and things and have a much bigger space on the screen for it. If I click through here to advanced options, you'll see that you've got the maximum character count. That defaults to 100, which generally for rich text isn't going to be enough. This has got a maximum here. If you can't remember what the maximum is, just type in a ridiculous number and it will prompt you there. So we're going to go with the maximum there, which is 4,000 characters, and click Save. We're going to have some options in here around the level of the course. So we'll come in here and we'll call this one level. This one is going to be a series of choices where we can choose level 100, 200, 300, 400, and we can choose here as we create choices that something can either be a global choice, which means it can be accessed in other parts of the database, or a choice that's only related to this table. Now, the default and the recommendation here is that you always choose this global choice. I'm going to override that in this case because I know I really only want to use this for this particular table, but I am going to come back and show you one with that global choice shortly. So we'll go in here and say, no, this is only for this table. And then we're going to go through and say this is 100, 200, 300, and 400. And you'll see as I'm putting in, these are the labels that we view in the system, but we've got these values underneath. Everything we do as we create these tables is creating a front end visual of something, the names, and what's called a schema name underneath. You don't need to worry too much about that. It's doing all of that for you. You can also create colors in here as well. So let's say that we wanted to set these up, and this comes through in the application in other places where you can have some nice visual elements here to view things with different colors against them. So we're just going to go through and put some nice colors against each of these, and let's go sort of for a pink up the end there. All right. If it's a choice that has a default, you can also set that. This one doesn't have a default. Each course that comes in, we're going to want to choose a particular level. So we're done there. Let's do an example of a choice column now, which is something we do want to use elsewhere in the database, which is which subject it's associated with. And what we're going to do here is create this as a choice that can be reused across the database, because I want each course to have a subject, but I also want the instructors to have subjects associated with them so that we can start to find people who might be able to teach certain courses. So let's come in here and call this one subject. This one is also going to be a choice, but this time I'm going to say, yes, we want this to be a global choice that can be used elsewhere. First time I do this, I need to say create a new choice. It feels a bit like you're going through a couple of different layers, but when we reuse this again another time, it's going to be much easier. So we're going to call this one subject. So what I'm doing here is actually creating those values as we saw earlier, and then linking it back up with the particular choice column that goes on this courses table. So let's put these subject values in here. We've got arts, business, computing, education, language, literature, music, travel. Looks like a pretty interesting place to study, right? And well-being. And you can go ahead and add all of those things in there. We'll save that. And now we're back into the course table, and we want to say, now we're creating this column, and we want to choose that list of subjects that we just created. So I can come in here and start typing it, and there it is there, and click save. We're going to put a couple of other things in place here to allow us to manage an end-to-end process where courses can be proposed and then have to go through some kind of approval before they become currently offered. So first up is something that's going to help us manage the approval status. So we're going to call this one course approval status. And this one will also be a choice, which is approved or rejected. Now, approved and rejected are things we might want to use elsewhere in the system. So let's go ahead and create that as a global choice again, because it is something that we want to reuse. So we'll call this one approval, and we will give it the label approved or rejected. Save that and sync that choice with that particular option set. And again, no default option there. Let's save that. And the other thing we want to do is a yes/no toggle here, just to show you something different around whether it's a currently offered course or not. So when it comes in, it will be not currently offered, and once it's approved, it will be offered. So we'll just put this one as currently offered, and this is a choice, but this time we're going to choose this yes/no option. This allows you to do a binary yes, no, true, false, those kinds of things, and it will usually default to no. So if you want something that has a nothing yes or no, you need to use the choices that we were using before. This one is binary. It's either on or off, tick a box, or toggle switch. So we can save that one there. The last thing we're going to do here is to create a relationship. So we're going to bring some tables together in the database. Each course can have one instructor. So this is this notion of using a lookup that's going to create what's called a many-to-one relationship. But the easiest way to do this without understanding the depth of database relationships is to go in here and just say, I want a new column. Who is the instructor for this course? That is a lookup. So you imagine, as we see on the screen here, you come in and the course has a lookup to the instructor. So we just create that there, and then it says, which table are you going to look up? Now remember that we're going to use that out-of-the-box contact table to store the information about the instructors. So I can just come in here and say contact, and that's done. We'll click save. Creating that lookup has also created the relationship. So you'll see as we come back into the course table here and click on relationships, that we've now got, first of all, a bunch of the scaffolding things, so who it's created by and owned by and so on. And there's my instructor, and it's created that relationship in here. So one instructor can have many courses. This way around, from the point of view of the course, many courses to one instructor, many to one relationship. The other thing you might have noticed is that this tables piece has now become 2. So if I click back on tables, you'll see that inside my solution now we've got both the course and the contact. So the system is smart enough to bring any related pieces that you want in there. And so now we've got our contact table in here, and we're going to work with that as well, because the out-of-the-box contact table is very rich, but I need a couple of other pieces here specific to using this for instructors. So remember earlier we created the list of subjects that were going on. So I want for the instructor to be able to know what subjects this person teaches. So we're going to come in here and go to columns. It doesn't bring across by default all of the columns, so don't worry when you see something blank here, it's just brought the table into the solution, but we only need in the solution the pieces that we're actually working on for this application. So all those other columns are available to us, but they're not listed here. So I'm going to add a new column, which is going to be subjects taught, and this one is a choice, and this time I want to allow multiple choices to be selected because a person might teach many different subjects. I want to sync it with a global choice. Remember, we chose that one before. From here, I can just go and find that subject set of choices. As I hover over it, I can make sure I've got the right one and save. So you see, I didn't have to do all that work twice of entering in all of those different values for my drop-down list of subjects, but I'm using it here in a different way. The other thing I want to do is create a date. So let's say this person was hired on a certain date. What we can do here is go in and choose our data type of date and time, but I don't really care what time they were hired. It doesn't really matter in this scenario. I want that to be a date only, and save that. And the last thing here is that we have some kind of ID for the teacher. So we can come in here again. I don't need to create a unique identifier, but maybe they've got a staff ID of some kind. So we're just going to call this one staff ID. I'll show you something a bit different here so that you've got the full range of things that you can do. Instead of just creating this as something that we're going to type in, I'm actually going to create this one as an auto number. And this allows me to give it a prefix. So let's call this one INS, for instance. It's an instructor number, and then I can have a different range of numbers afterwards. So you can see here I could say I only want 3 values, or I want 5 or something like that, and it's starting to bring those things in there. Let's just stick with 4 and starting with 1000 and save. So each time I create a new instructor record in the system, it's going to assign the next sequential auto number as I go along. So we've finished creating the data model, but now what we need to do is create the elements that allow people to access this data inside the app, and those are called views and forms. I'm going to navigate back to my tables here, and I'm going to start with the course table that I created from scratch. I'm going to bring all of those pieces into some screen layouts. So the first thing we're going to do here is a view, and so this is an example of a view. We've got these different column layouts on the screen, and you can use this to search and filter, and you can actually have different views that allow you to view your data in different ways. So we click on views, and it's already pre-created some things for us. I'm going to use the active courses view here, and it's kind of useless out of the box. We've got the name and the created on, but that's not really what I want to do. This is a really nice simple interface here. We're just going to get rid of that, and then I'm going to bring in the other things that I want to work with. So you'll remember that we had the course number, so the name is the name of the course. All I need to do is just click on these, and if I do them in order, it will come up. I can drag and drop the order around if I want, but I've got my course number. Let's say we're going to look up to who's the instructor. I don't really want to bring the description in here because rich text in this view just won't look good. This is meant to be just sort of single row by row. I certainly want that level in there, and I want the subject that it's associated with and whether it's currently offered or not. So this is going to be my list of all of the courses. So let's save that one. Now we've got an option here, save and publish. 2 core concepts. Saving just kind of saves the thing. Publish pushes it through to the live application. What I want to do though is have save as something else so that I can come in here and say, let's save this as currently offered courses. So I want to be able to at any point see a list of those courses that are only the ones that are currently offered, and we can apply a filter on here. So this allows the user to switch across or to view things in different ways. So for this one, I am going to filter it by this currently offered equals yes. So you can do these kinds of filters across all sorts of different pieces on the screen. Let's save and publish that one as well. And so now we're going to have two different ways that we can view the courses inside the app. Navigate back. So that's our view done. The next thing I need to do is to create a form. So when I go through and look at these things and click through and open it up, I need all of the details on the screen. That's called a form. So we'll click through here. And this is a drag and drop interface that's giving us a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. Very easy to create how this is going to look on the screen. First thing I might want to do here is give the form a different name. And I'm going to take the owner. This is part of the security model of what's going on in the application, who owns this and therefore who else can see it. But I don't want it sitting there. I can drag that up into the top section here. There's actually a little header at the top. I'm also going to change the layout here. So this is a tab on the screen. I've got my general tab, and I want this one to have a different layout. So I'm going to change this to have a 2-column layout so that I can fit some more things on the screen. So I've got my course name. Let's bring the course number in here. Let's say, is it currently offered? Yes or no. And I want the level there as well. Whoops, didn't bring currently offered across. We'll just try that one again. We have got the subject, and then I want to bring across into this other section here the description, and also let's get the instructor in over here. Let's do a bit more formatting here. So this one, if I highlight on this part, this is now highlighted on a section. So we've got within the form a tab, which is the whole piece, and we can add other tabs, which we'll come back to in a minute. And these are sections on the form. So I want this section to be called general information. We'll give that a unique name. And you'll see that this hide label is checked. I want to uncheck that, so now we can see it there. This one, new section, we're going to call this one description. And then when I go into this particular description column, I want to have as much space as I can for that rich text. So I want to hide the label there. So now I've got that taking up far more space on the screen. Okay, that's all done. So let's save and publish that one. Navigate back to our solution, and we're going to do the same thing for the contact, but this time we're going to bring in the things that we want for an instructor. So I go into contact here, forms, and I want to create a new form of the type main form. So main form is always that one that opens up when you want to view an entire record in the system. Because this is an out-of-the-box table, there's a bunch of stuff already done for you on the form, and you can customize this so that you can have the pieces that you just want to have here. So let's have a look down here. We've got the account name, which is where we're using sort of a business type scenario. Don't need that here. So let's click delete on that one. We have also got fax. Does anyone still use fax? Get rid of that. We've got the street addresses and things there. Those parts are okay. Let's scroll down a little bit further on the form here. There's also a map component here. I actually don't want that, so I'm going to click that whole section and delete that. Now, what I want to do is add another section onto the form to manage the stuff about the particular to our academy and our instructor information. So over on the navigation here, these are my columns. I'm going to go into this part here to choose a component, and I'm going to choose a 1-column section. That will automatically drop it where I'm at. We can move it in a moment. Let's call this one instructor information. And then I'm going to go back into my fields, my columns here, and bring across the ones that I made. So if you look here, you've got all of the things that are out of the box. You can just search for the ones you want. So for instance, I put in hire date, so that makes it easy to find. But the other little trick here is that if you just want to look at the things that you've created, get rid of that search. Let's click this filter here and say custom, and this will just bring up the ones that you've done. Now, I have actually done some other things in this environment that are showing up here, so just ignore those for now. We're going to bring across subject taught underneath the hire date, and I also want to bring in that staff ID and put that above the hire date. And you can drag and drop and move those things around. The other thing I want to do though is take this up to the top of this column here. So you'll see I've got a 3-column layout. So what I'm going to do is just sort of navigate to scroll this one down a bit so I can see what I'm doing. Grab that section, and the trick is to make sure that purple outline is around the piece you want. Drag that, and we're going to put this up to the top there. This is another control that's I'm not using, so again I'm just going to tidy this up a bit and get rid of that. So now I've got a nice form where I've got that main detail here, I've got the timeline and the instructor information. I'm going to add another tab now so that we can see the courses taught. So we go back to components. I am going to add this time a 1-column tab, and you'll see that appears in the top there. Let's just zoom back up. We don't need it to be quite so enormous now. So we'll go into this tab. This one is going to be called courses. So we'll see all of the courses that are related to that person. We can have a section name as well if we want in here. So let's put that in as well. And I'm going to add a component in here which is called a subgrid. So this allows you to see related. One instructor has many related courses. This box should really be checked by default, but you want to check that, so this will now only show you any tables that are related to the one that you're working on. Again, a bunch of standard things out of the box here, but we can find our courses, and that's the name of that lookup that we created earlier. So courses related back to instructor. And then we've created some different views here. So we could create a view specific to how we want to see it on the screen. I'm just going to go with the active courses view and bring that in. And that's also going to put another little header here, which I definitely want to hide because new SG control not looking so good. So we will save and publish that. So now what we've got is 2 related tables. We're going to be able to, from the instructor, see the related courses. We've got all that set up ready to go with views and things in the system. I'm going to do one last thing, which is to create a process flow that enables us to work through a course and an approval process for getting new courses into our academy. So let's go back. We've already saved the changes there, so we don't need to worry about that. I'm going to navigate back into my solution if it doesn't take me back there. And now what I'm going to do is to create business process flow, which is this piece here that allows you to go through the steps and stages of a process from a course being proposed right through to it being approved and offered at the academy. So we start here with an automation process, business process flow. We're going to give this a name, so we're going to call this course approval. That will by default give it a same schema name, and this is going to work on the courses table. So we choose that from here and click create, and that's going to pop up a new tab in the browser to work with your process here. So what we do is we define the stages of the process as well as the steps along the way. So we have a stage here that is where the course is first proposed, and click apply. We add another stage to this, which is the approval stage, and click apply. And then finally we add a stage for when the course is made available. So we're going to call that publish. We're publishing it to the live catalog of available courses. Now for each of these stages, we have to have at least one step underneath. So when the course is proposed, the first thing we're going to need is to know what is the course name. So we'll choose name there and click apply. And then we want to add another step in here. So let's add a second step, which is about what the instructor is going to be, who the instructor is going to be, and click apply. Now you can put as many different stages and steps in here as you like. I'm showing you one that's relatively simple here. For the approval, remember we created that approval piece in there before so that we can know if something's approved or rejected. So we're going to choose the course approval status and click apply. And then once it's approved, we're going to get to this final publish step, and that's the point at which it gets assigned a course number. So we will apply that. Once you've got that done, what you want to do is click save. So once that's done, we're going to click activate, Click activate to make it live. You know it's worked when that button has changed from activate to deactivate. And from here, you just close that tab. That takes you back to your solution. Once we're done, we click done, and we will now see, boom, on the side there, processes 1. You can also build out another part here which will trigger automated approvals and come back into the application. Check out my other video here if you'd like to learn how to do that. But for now, we've got all the pieces we need. We've got our tables, our forms, our views, our business process flow. So now it's time to do the final thing, which is to create the model-driven app. Now, this is actually the easiest part, and it pulls together a heap of stuff because we've done all of the work. So from here, all we need to do is go in here and say, create a new app, model-driven app. And this does a heap of things. So we're going to call the app Keymaster Academy and click create. And all we need to do here is tell it which tables and which of those pages and pieces and things that we want to bring into the application. So we start by saying add a page. We want Dataverse tables, so we'll click next. And remember, we've used the contact table and we've used a course table that we created. We can use the search, but I'm just going to scroll down here because they're both sitting there together. So we're going to find the contact and course. And I'm going to leave this selected on to say show in navigation because that will build it into the left-hand navigation, and click add. And there we have it. Now, group 1 is not a terribly nice name for this. So we can go across here to the navigation, select that on the side here, and call this course management. This has also brought in the forms and views just by bringing in those tables. So if we go back over here to the pages and open up course here, you'll see there's our course information form. There's the business process flow that we created. That's all inside the app as well. That's it. So all we need to do is go through these 3 steps at the top here. Save, publish, and play. And that launches the app in a new browser tab. So what we have here is a completely built app with no data in it yet. You do have to get your data in here. So all of these pieces across the top here to work with export to Excel, to visualize things in Power BI, import, export, all of that stuff, fully responsive interface. I can zoom this up or down. It will work on mobile devices. All that is done for you when you just go click new model-driven app. You don't have to build all of that. We've got our tables in the side here. So let's go ahead and create our first instructor in the system here. So you can see here, this is our tab for courses. So let's say this one is Claudia. She was hired just recently, and the subjects that she teaches are arts and education. Now remember, staff ID was an auto number, so when I save that record, that's actually going to assign her an ID number in there. We've got the timeline in the middle that we can use here to track any kinds of activities. So if we've got email correspondence with her, phone calls, notes, tasks, and so on, that's all ready to go in there too. Let's say that we are going to get a new course up for this person. So we create a new course here, and we've got that process. So let's say that she's proposing to do a new Introduction to Design course. It's not currently offered. It's going to be 100 level, and it's arts. So you'll see that experience there of the option is that I can only choose one here, and the instructor, which is this lookup experience, is going to be Claudia. Let's put a description of the course in here. You can, because it's rich text, do bold and highlights and anything else that you like in here. And then we save that record. Now this can go through a process here for approval. So you can see here that we've got a proposed course, name and the instructor. I can move it along to the next stage. So the purpose of this is to guide us through an end-to-end process flow of getting that course approved and ready to publish in the course catalog. The course approval status, we can again be triggering automated approvals, but let's say we're going through that and saying, yes, that's all good to go, that's approved. It goes to the final stage. We need to assign it a course number. So we're going to call this one DES 101 and finish that process. Change this to be currently offered yes, and again you can use Power Automate and Flows. Check out my tutorial on that to update information if you'd like to do that automatically as well. So there we have it, end-to-end model-driven app. If you would like to go deeper into creating more tables and more pieces, I've got a complete 3.5-hour tutorial on all of that, or check out my playlist here for additional short videos on specific subjects. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to give this a like and subscribe if you found value in it.